you had a DM from a therapist that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. What did I was doing a Q&A the other night, and you know what it was? Someone asked, they were like, they were just so shocked at how they were like, I don't have a question, but I feel so good after I go for a walk. And I sort of just, I went off in a good way. I got really excited, but I was like, people, the cliche response is always, or the cliche talking point for exercise is endorphins, and how, oh yeah, it releases endorphins. But people use the word endorphins like a lot of people use the word metabolism. They don't really know what it means, and they don't know what they do. And when you actually start to dig into what endorphins do, it's really insane. And a very simple way to think about it is like, endorphins have a similar effect as morphine, from the perspective of like, it reduces pain, your perception of pain, and it actually brings it elicits a feeling of elation and joy. And obviously it's not as intense as morphine, but it goes after the same neurological points. It goes after the exact same, it's very similar processes. And so for me, it's just like, no shit. This is what you do when you exercise. It's why you feel so freaking good. And it's also why, or one of the reasons why, your perception of pain is decreased, whether it's physiological pain, psychological pain. If like one vice people have is they turn to alcohol, and they talk about how it numbs the pain. So does exercise. It numbs the pain. Like, it's why oftentimes when people go through a breakup, they start working out. And it's not like, yes, they start working out because they want to, like, I want to have like a breakup fuck you body type thing, but they don't get addicted to it immediately because of the physiological changes. They get addicted to it because of what actually happens from the endorphin release, in the same way they would get addicted to morphine. So that first time they go, it's like, God, I just feel so good. I want to go back. I want to go back. I want to go back. And it helps numb the pain. And then I wrote that, and a therapist reached out, and she said, the first thing I prescribe any patient who is depressed is walking. Before I prescribe medication, it's always walking, specifically for this exact reason. So I thought that was very cool.
Amazing story. And shout out to that therapist. That's outstanding. What's hilarious and great timing is I literally made a note this morning when I was walking that steps, I literally wrote this, steps in sunlight are the game. Mood/mental, how body feels / injury reduction / miscellaneous pain. So in addition to everything you just said, I have noticed, because I've been averaging probably in the 10 to 11,000 step count now for 10 weeks. And prior to that, I have it in my phone, the 18 weeks prior to that, it was about half of that amount. So I wasn't making any conscious effort for the majority of, or I guess the first, 3-4 months of 2024, to get a certain number of steps. And then when I started to focus on getting more steps, not only that upside mentally, but also the durability, and I don't want to say reduce risk of injury. It's more, a reduction in the wear and tear pains that often come from inactivity rather than overexertion has been night and day. So like my back, hips feel infinitely better when I'm taking 10,000 plus steps per day compared to when I'm taking half of that.
Makes total sense. It must be one of the reasons, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm assuming one of the reasons you didn't focus on it as much the first few months of the year is just the weather. And now that it's sunnier, it's just easier for you to get out and more exciting because you have the sun. It's not cold slapping you in the face. So I'm assuming that's part of it.
I would imagine that subconsciously that's probably the main component. Because if I look at random weeks where I was down in Florida, during that week I would average 8 to 10 per week. Part of it's lifestyle too, right? So if I'm out coaching Gary in the city and it's 2,500 steps just to walk from my hotel to his apartment to coach him and back. That's 5,000 to start the day right there. It's only 7:30 in the morning. Yeah. Yeah. Plus moving around, training him 6,000-7,000. There's just so many benefits, mental, physiological, longevity, which we know like more steps is better. And it doesn't really, I don't know that I'd call it linear, but it's not like a U-shaped curve, right? Where 10,000 is optimal, but 15,000 is detrimental. No, 15,000 is better than 10,000. Now, does that mean everyone needs to hit 15,000? No, of course not. But for anyone thinking, oh, I can't get X number of steps, so it's not even worth it. No, every additional 1,000 per day on average is going to be good for you.